breaking free. Yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression. It's out for liberty. Breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts. We're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty. Breaking free, yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty. Breaking free, yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. We're claiming our land.
I hate this show. Oh my goodness.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to Are You Smarter Than a Politician? This is your gateway drug to liberty. Tonight, technology is changing everything, but is it setting you free or locking you in? We're diving into who really controls your money, whether privacy is already gone, and if the future is decentralized or fully monitored. From AI and digital currencies to cash, crypto, and life outside the system, three notable political minds step in to battle it out on the biggest question of all. Is technology your greatest tool or the ultimate control mechanism? So get ready, because tonight you decide who is smarter than a politician. Joining us again, my friend, Lars Mapstead. He is a candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives in California's 19th district. You can check out his website at lars24.com. He also has the Voting Rights Foundation, which is votingrights.com, as well as ballotswithoutbarriers.com. And you can check him out on X at Libertarian Lars. How are you tonight, Lars?
I'm doing amazing. And I think that the questions that you asked at the beginning are exactly the questions that I've been thinking about. And I hope that we can answer some of those questions tonight, because I think they're nuanced, but I think there's a lot of hope. But we have to not bury our head in the sand and attack this head on.
Totally agree. Tell everybody about your campaign and what you've been up to.
Yeah, so the primary is going to be June 2nd, so it's coming up real quick. California has top two, so I probably won't make it to the general election, but I'm having a good time. Did a lot of radio and TV stuff, and working hard on my nonprofit ballotswithoutbarriers.com, which is to get equal access and create competition in American politics, so that anybody can run for office and not be barred off the ballot.
Awesome. Thanks for doing this. Also joining us again for the second time, Joel Valenzuela. He's the host of the Digital Cash Network on YouTube. The website is decentr.net. And he's also a mover in the Free State Project. You can find him on X at the Desert Links and also at Digital Cashnet. How are you tonight, Joel?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. It's always a good time to be on these things. I kind of feel like we're at the weird nexus of where technology could go one way or another, and there's a lot of people really confused about it. And I'm sort of glad to be in the mix of all that. So again, happy to be here.
Awesome. Tell everybody what you're up to.
Yeah, so the day job is I run business development and marketing for Dash, which is a crypto project, one of the older ones. And I run a podcast on the side. So I also go to a bunch of conferences. So if you go to crypto conferences, you'll probably run into me.
Awesome, man. Thanks again for doing this. And joining us for the first time, my buddy William. He's got a podcast, World Blockchain Roundtable. You can find that on YouTube. Dragon Chain. Also, that's at Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. He's also founder of the Umbrella Promise, which is umbrellapromise.org. And you can find him on X at IM4IMWE. How are you tonight, William?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here. I'm intimidated by the two other panelists, so I'm going to be working hard to get third place. But I got a strategy. I have a strategy. First of all, the stickers behind me are for sale for 100 points each, and I'm hoping that somebody will like something. And because my opponents here have longer names than I'm suggesting that you just use a W. So like 100 to W if you want the, in the Fed sticker. And that way I can get points, because I'm not going to be able to match up with these gentlemen because they're articulate, they're brilliant. So I had to use a different method, kind of like what politicians do. They sell themselves, they pimp themselves out. So that's what I'm planning on doing tonight. That is my strategy to win at least third place.
Well, luckily, nobody in politics ever ruined the name W, so that'll work good for you, I'm sure.
Exactly. You can type Will or William if you like, but I'll go with W for the win for third place. That's my goal tonight. And with all of your help, hopefully I can succeed at that. And just as a start, I'd like to say that the I am for I am we. That's kind of my handle, if you will. And it's not like biblical I am for I am. No, it's nothing like that. It's actually I am for William, and my wife's name is Miriam. So it's I am for her as she is for me, and we are we. Therefore, that's where my handle comes from. And I expect the women in the audience to go, oh, sweet, give me 100 points. And the men probably say, that's gay. Give me 100 points for that. So, there you go. That's my strategy.
Before you bust out your wedding album, tell everybody about the projects you're in.
Well, I'm retired. I've been retired since I was 52. I'm 62, and just kind of playing around here on the internet. But I've always been a technologist. I looked at companies, financials, and counseled owners if it was saleable, if we could sell it or if we could save it, and worked hard to get to where I was at. I also was a lobbyist for a little bit, and that transitioned me into libertarianism and then into becoming an anarchist or agorist. And that led me more into crypto. So I got into crypto a long time ago. I was actually, Joel, I was at the Dash launch party, or the first DAO launch party way back in 2015, 2016 in Scottsdale, I believe it was. So
was that, it was an open house event.
Yeah, the open house event. That's what it was.
I was there too. The change has been out a couple years already, but yeah, I was there.
So anyway.
Nice. All right. And I thought we lost her for a second, but also joining us is the lovely Terry Batts. How are you tonight, Terry?
Lost. You were correct.
Yeah.
Moving around everywhere. You guys ready to go? I've got my notepad. I hope everybody else is ready to learn tonight, because I sure am, and I know we will. So let's learn and have some laughs. All right.
Awesome. And our Friday night shows are brought to you by Xano. Tired of surveillance coins dressed up as freedom tech? Xano is the real deal. Open source, enterprise grade privacy, scalable and secure, build, spend, and tokenize any asset without the peeping eyes. Xano isn't just private, it's none of their business. And if you're new to the space, visit intro.xano.org to learn how Xano gives you the power to own your own data, your money, and your assets all in one simple, secure platform built for real world freedom. So thank you, Xano, for sponsoring us. Also, thank you to our subscribers. We have a ton of them. Appreciate y'all. And if you want to subscribe to us on X, this is your backstage pass. And a little added bonus. In June, we're going to have a subscriber showdown. So we're going to have a show only of subscribers. If you don't subscribe now, you can subscribe and be a part of that if you want. And if you want to sponsor the show, email studio@freedomuncut.com. And a couple other things. We will be at the Libertarian National Convention next month, as well as Lars will be there. And if you want to register to go to lnc2026.com. I think the room deadline's pretty soon here, so get your name in there quick. And in July 8th through 11th, we will be at Freedom Fest in Las Vegas. Go to freedomfest.com to register. use the discount code SPIKE100, and that supports You Are the Power, and we will be part of their part of Freedom Fest with Spike Cohen, and that'll be a good time. And you can follow me and Terry on X. I am at Smarter Game Show. She is Bats T76. And let's jump into the chat really quick and see who's here. Amity's here. What's up, Amity? StreamYard put a thing in here. That's whatever. I don't know what that is. Anarchist Chef's here, a subscriber. What's up? Chris is here, another subscriber. So I'm here, but I'm watching. That's what you're supposed to do. Wow, well done. 200 to Lars for saying hi in the chat. 200 to Joel for being in the chat. That makes all three of you. That's Jake Day. What's up, Jake Day? 100 to Joel for playing, even though it looks like he was kidnapped. Yeah, it's a less enthusiastic background than Lars and William. I love your background, William. 200 points. Casey's here from the They Both Suck podcast. 100 to William. 200 to William for always being in the chat during If by Whiskey. Yeah, it's Jake's show. Check that out. 200 to William for Decentralized Everything. Dan's here, another subscriber. What's up, Dan? 100 to William for the End the Fed sticker. 100 to William for That's Gay. 200 to William for the sweet handle. I knew that was coming. 200 to William because he's a friend. Brett's here from the Aiming Up podcast, another subscriber. What's up?
Happy birthday, Brett.
Yeah,
happy birthday, Brett.
Yeah. Happy birthday. Driving through Wyoming and still watching. Gnome's here. What's up? 200 to William for the win. Digital Cash Network. I think that's Joel. What's up? 12 to William for every year older than me he is. You probably were wishing he was younger at this point. 200 for the first to say the X chat is greater than the YouTube chat.
X chat is greater than the YouTube chat.
There you go. And I think this is Lars. X chat is, oh, there we go. He said it on there. So I think Lars gets it. Case here, another subscriber. 200 William for the t-shirt message. Absolutely. All right, let's jump into it here. Welcome again. Please share this out. Help bust the algorithm. And I already said who we were. Helping behind the scenes, Amity Lee 13, as well as Casey, American versus Gov. And you can get our swag at freedomsuperstore.com. I am wearing the Make Anarchy Great Again shirt tonight. And lots of cool shirts and mugs on there. The shorts will be up on Freedom Uncut on YouTube, and we're also on Rumble. And I just wanted to thank Larry Sharp and Shannon Joy for having me on their Money Bomb on Wednesday. That was a lot of fun. You can go back and watch that and also donate to them. They're trying to get ballot access in New York, which is not the easiest thing in the world, and they could use some help. So thanks again for having me on that. All right, so tonight, since Trump ruined peace prizes, we made our own peace prize as the grand prize. This is the Are You Smarter Than a Peace Prize. We also have on the prize shelf the Mike Johnson signature cologne Swamp Ass, as well as the Ayn Rand Fountainhead teddy bear. We also have the home edition of Are You Smarter Than a Politician, a bunch of libertarian bobbleheads. We also, if you need to get your mental midget to take a bath, we have the Strait of Hormuz bath set. New tonight, I put this up just for Lars. We have the election tampering starter pack. It's got some stuffing ballots on there, little dark money, disinformation playbook. And because today is worker day or whatever the people call it, we have the Eat the Rich snack pack. It's obviously vegan friendly because it's got to be vegan friendly. And, so you could get that for a little snack that's probably not very satisfying. Also, I don't know if you caught this in the news, but they sent this to us before they got indicted by the Department of Justice. But this is the Southern Poverty Law Center hate group starter pack. So if you wanted to get subsidized as a hate group, you just need to use this and then contact the Southern Poverty Law Center. And if you want to teach your kids how to make money in the future, get them the Build Your Own Surveillance Van playset, spy on your friends and neighbors. And of course, we have the Trump nativity set because nobody will take this off our hands. And the Killdozer because nobody talks about the Killdozer more than me and Casey do. Here are the rules. I am the government. Whatever I say goes. Scoring errors count. Life isn't fair. Suck it up, Buttercup. Nobody cares. The rules are they have one debate, one filibuster. They can veto, tariff, or redistribute an answer. Everybody starts off with negative 500 points because the government gets paid first. Here's how scoring works. The chat controls the score. You can give or take up to 100 points from the contestants. And because I am the government and I believe in crony capitalism, Any subscriber can give or take up to 200 points because they pay me, so they matter more. Here's nuking a score. Any former contestant can nuke a score, taking it down by 1,000 points. The twist is a contestant can only be nuked one time, and it has to be for a good reason. Lightning round. I will be putting Terry in the back. She controls the chat and the scoring. Make her life extremely difficult. Thank you, Terry. First question of the night goes to Lars. The category is technology, freedom, or control. Is technology making people freer or easier to control?
The answer is both. And, technology is a tool, and it can be used by bad actors and it can be used by good actors. And so the bad actors are using technology to, surveil us, to keep track of us, to keep us in databases and all that kind of stuff. And the good actors are using it for decentralized trading. They're using open source kind of technologies that are bypassing the government. And so I think there's going to be a big battle coming between, technologists who want to use technology to suppress people and spy on people and oppress people, and another group of people who want to use technology to free people and to, give people the abundance that we all want in our lives.
Definitely. All right, Joel, to you. Is convenience being traded for control?
Yes, I think that's traditionally been the way things have gone. I think that people sign up for whatever the thing is that just manages their life, that does everything for them, everything just works, and yet they're kind of being sold out for that. Now, I think that it's going to switch the other way at some point, where the amount of things you can't do, or the amount of costs that you incur by having control, starts to amount to too much. And like, for example, one thing being like age verification. Mandatory age verification means you just can't go on some websites or do some things. That's not very convenient, is it? But now if you get around that, all of a sudden it becomes more convenient. So it's like a pendulum. Right now, everything controlled is more convenient, but it's going the other way.
Definitely seems that way. All right, William, to you. Does more technology always mean less independence?
No, I'm going to piggyback on what Lars said. Technology is neutral. It depends on how it's being welded and used. If it's going to be used in a manner that people can, or the masses can be manipulated, let's say social media and the algorithms to censor speech or what have you, then obviously it's being used in a nefarious way. But it's neutral. It just depends on who's using it. And now, as we see AI become a bigger part of our lives, most of us are really concerned about our AI and automation getting to a level or point with its exponential growth of taking our jobs and our careers. And there are those that probably believe that, no, I'm safe. I'm a plumber. I'm an electrician. But lawyers are starting to think differently, especially new grads, right? And so what are they going to do? They're going to start chasing jobs as a plumber, what have you. So technology can be neutral, but it can be also used in a very ugly way. And it's up to us really to unify and come together to fight against it falling into the hands of, say, technocracy.
Totally agree. I need to jump in really quick here. Marcus from the Black Powder podcast is spreading hate speech against me. I don't know if we can ban him from the chat, Terry, or something like that. But I voted for Chase Oliver, and I think everybody knows that. So please block him or ban him or send him somewhere, please. All right, Lars, back to you. Category is financial independence. Does technology help or hinder financial independence?
Well, I think, the future when I say future, I'm talking the next couple of years here. I think that our entire financial system is about to do a total reboot. The economics of $5 an hour labor and skilled labor, ubiquitous, is going to completely change the game. AI is about to drop healthcare from $5 trillion in spending to $1 trillion in spending. It's going to revolutionize education. It's going to drop the cost of housing by 40%. It's going to drop the cost of pretty much everything. We're going to go into a deflationary cycle due to this, not only labor cost reduction, but energy cost reduction and all the things that AI is about to do. And so, the change is going to be dramatic, and I think most people don't see it coming at all. And I think that there's going to be a period where it's going to be a bit of a struggle, but the other side of it looks very, very exciting and very good for everybody at all levels of the economic ladder. So I'm excited for it. There's a lot of fear mongering out there. There's a lot of Luddites out there that are afraid of this. And I just want to remind people about Y2K, and everybody was building bunkers because the universe was gonna come apart. And the other thing I talk about is when I was a kid, we had a duck and cover under the desk because the Russians were going to drop the bombs on us and kill us all. And as an 8-year-old, thinking about my family dying to nuclear weapons was terrifying. Fortunately, that hasn't happened, and it's we kind of stopped that process. We just got to stop spreading fear and take this head on, and it's going to be really good. But we have to push forward.
Can I add something to what Lars just said?
Sure.
He really nailed it. AI is really up to us, and we can use it for good. And I happen to believe that we could see a future of a post-labor economics model where right now we're built, everything.
Hold on, we got questions. We got questions about that, so don't jump ahead. We're only 20 minutes in. We're only 20 minutes in. Don't give away the plot.
I'm stealing the thunder.
Don't give away the plot yet. And you get your own question this round, so it's going to be fun. Joel, to you. Can you be financially independent inside the current system?
No, pretty much simple as that. The current system has been designed generation after generation to give you as little autonomy as possible, as little control over your own money, as much control to everyone else. So you kind of have to do your own thing at this point. I think that the only way that answer changes is when a newer and freer system becomes the current system. But that's not where we're at today.
That was a fantastic question. Really. I mean, I think that was a great question. I think everybody needs to think about that question because it was a really good one.
Thank you. I don't get that a lot, so I appreciate that. A lot of times I get your questions are dumb, so I always point out the government's dumb, so that makes a lot of my questions dumb. So that's my little thing on that. But all right, William, to you. Should people aim to rely less on institutions?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Institutions, including the government, we need to become more self-sufficient. The whole idea of rugged individualism, but that doesn't mean that you throw out technology. No, we embrace technology and we use that to our advantage. Institutions, unfortunately, become corrupt. And it's plain and simple. And technology can help us with that, such as DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, can help prevent that corruption.
All right. Lars, back to you. The category is who controls your money? Do central banks have too much control over your financial future?
Yes. There's a thing called the Cantillon effect. Cantillon effect. And essentially it's when the Federal Reserve and the Treasury print money, they hand it to the banks, and the banks then disseminate it to the corporations, and the corporations push it on down, and eventually the worker ends up with some really inflated money after it's passed through all these different hands that have basically stolen along the way. And between the federal government taxing the crap out of us into oblivion and the Federal Reserve doing the inflation tax on us, I'm surprised any of us can actually live at all. And somehow the politicians have convinced a vast number of people in America that the solution to all of this problem is to print more money and to tax people harder, Daddy.
Yeah. All right, Joel, to you. Are we already living in a system where you don't truly own your wealth?
Yeah. I mean, that's unfortunately, it should be very obvious, but it's not to most people.
Mhm.
But anything that you don't have in something, whether it's a decentralized cryptocurrency or a physical gold and silver in your own house, is not really yours. You're giving it to a custodian that is one government order away from taking it away. And even the paper cash is based on a central bank that can just decide that, guess what, the cash is worthless tomorrow. And I cannot imagine working your whole life for that, for that's your legacy. That's what you're relying on, is something that you're just hoping no one decides to just take from you on a whim.
Mhm.
Definitely. William, to you, is financial control the real source of political power?
Mm.
Oh, I think absolutely. Follow the money is what we always say, right? And it funds our enemy that's fighting against us. Rights require force, and money is used to circumvent our rights by force, which could be even just the dollar. Inflation is just one example. And that's my final answer. But what I'd like to also say is I would like to donate 100 of my points to Lars for putting up the good fight in California. I escaped that state in 2002, and he is still there fighting
Oh, man.
for for liberty. And I
can't
commend
You
for
can't
that.
give you can't give your points to other people. That
Ah,
I'm the
well,
government.
then
I don't allow.
Yes.
I don't
Also,
allow
I was
you to
gonna
prop
take
each other
away
up.
100 points from him for just not having learned his lesson yet.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
the government for you. The
That's
government
actually-
tells me
I have a harsher authoritarian in my life, and that's my wife. And she's saying we're not leaving, so that's the end of that.
There you go.
She's worse than the government.
There you go.
wow.
You're dealing with local government instead of
Very
state
local in my bedroom.
Very
government.
local. Yeah. All right. All right.
The government
Back to you,
prevents-
Lars. The category is sound money versus easy money. Is easy money the root cause of inflation?
I mean, the root cause of inflation is the Federal Reserve printing too much damn money. If we had sound money, if we had currency that was backed by something, or that was that was limited supply, we would have less inflation. And obviously, inflation can still happen, but the problem with the Federal Reserve is it has a mandate to have inflation. Like, they want like 2 to 3% every year. They want your money to basically be worthless, cut in half every like 20 years at a minimum. And this is it's a feature, not a bug. I think that part of the response to the deflation that we're about to get through all the productivity gains from AI, they're going to lean into the printing press like they did during COVID, to basically backstop, a lot of the job losses. I think unemployment insurance, just like during COVID, is going to turn into a backdoor UBI without the government really ever voting on it. They'll just vote for more and more printing of money, and which basically means all the money that you have. You guys all just experienced 4 years of insane inflation. I think get ready for more of that, and invest accordingly.
Definitely. All right, Joel, to you. Should money be backed by something real?
This is kind of a trick question, because I would say possibly yes, but money should also not necessarily have to be backed. It should just be itself. You shouldn't need a backing. So the backing is the money. It's just the trade clearing mechanism is the thing that needs to be backed by the money. So like you have like let's just say you had an old school dollar bill, and that was actually a silver certificate. Silver is the money. The bill is the actual thing you trade for it that's backed by it. But what's the silver backed by? It's not backed by anything. It's silver. It's what it is. And so that's kind of what I really look forward to seeing with the greater adoption in truly scarce digital currencies. It's the same sort of a thing where you don't need this dependency where it's backed by something, and then you could sever that link somehow and make it backed by nothing someday, where the asset itself is what it's backed by.
See, I kind of knew that was a trick question. That's why I gave it to you. All right, William, to you. Should money creation be strictly limited?
It shouldn't be in the hands of government. Let's say that. And we want to limit the government's ability to print endless amount of money. And I honestly don't think they have been good stewards of the money. So that would be how I would limit it, or it should be limited. It should be something that grows in value rather than deflates because of inflation and endless money printing.
All right. Lars, back to you. The category is the future of cash. Is cash being phased out on purpose?
I think that, well, like we just lost the penny, right? And the reason we lost the penny was because it cost more to make the penny than to keep the penny, kind of a thing. I read somewhere, and this was a number of years ago, that something like 90% of all transactions, and this was probably 10 years ago, 90% of all transactions were already digital, digital transactions. I like currency. I like the anonymity of having it, but having the federal government be able to inflate the cash away, I think the federal government wants to get rid of the cash because they want to keep track of it all. They want to surveil every single transaction, and they don't like that anonymity. And then they'll say, oh well, evildoers use it, drug dealers use it, and bad nefarious people use cash. So we got to get rid of cash, but that's a slippery slope. I think that we like having cash as a way of fighting the system, as best as that could be, because once we completely get rid of cash, then the central bank digital currency is kind of a shoo-in, and so I think we should always have the option for citizens to transact in a physical currency, so that it doesn't have to be spied on by the government.
All right. Joel, to you. Is cash the last form of truly private payment?
I would say absolutely not, and it's kind of going the other direction. So, cash did have a decent amount of privacy, but I think that one thing that we forget these days is that any physical form of payment has a lot of privacy exploit vectors, because you have to go into an establishment. There's cameras everywhere, and so who paid with this at this time of day, roughly this size, and this exact location, and then you can sort of correlate that amongst other things and be able to kind of find a picture of exactly who that was and their habits, etc. And even if you wear like a dumb mask, but then in which case it's like, oh, that one creep who came in here, they definitely know to look up that guy. And so it's becoming less private. In the meantime, there are digital payment for digital currencies that do have a decent amount of privacy. I mean, there's Dash, there's Xano, there's Monero, there's Zcash, there's all these kinds of things that are using technology to encrypt transactions and make it so that you can't just publicly trace them. Of course, that's not enough. You need other things like a good VPN, good network level privacy. It goes on, but I think that you can be private, and I think that the digital ways of being private are going to outpace the physical ways.
Definitely. All right, William, to you, last question of the round. Will digital-only money make it easier to control behavior?
Oh, yes, absolutely, especially if it's in the hands of the government. That's exactly what CBDCs are and what we fear. You're at the checkout and you're trying to buy, another whatever, pound of hamburger, and they say, oh, no. You've already reached your limit for this week. Sorry, that won't go through. So it will curb your behavior to eat less beef because that happens to be the flavor of the day or the industry that they want to stop for whatever ungodly reason. So we have to work around that, and there are ways to work around that. That's why one of the reasons I believe in agorism. We need to build parallel systems, parallel networks. We need to support them. We need to vote with our wallets, vote with our money, use cash when you can, use alternative means, barter, trade, grow your own vegetables or whatever you can to make sure that you're not being controlled in the least manner possible. They are our enemy. Plain and simple.
Absolutely true. All right. Enter your scores in the chat if you've not done so already. Please share this out again. Let's jump in the chat, see what people are up to. Points to William for the t-shirt message. I think we got that one already. Minus to William and Lars for saying the X chat is better than the YouTube chat. All right, so that evened out. Points to Joel. Points to Lars for living in the fourth largest. Oh, here we go. Largest economy in the world. Yeah, we've heard Marcus. Oh, here we go. More hate speech. Free was wearing a MAGA hat in San Diego. Marcus, I was wearing a White Sox hat that's almost as embarrassing, but slightly less embarrassing. I was wearing a White Sox hat. 200 to Lars. AI will revolutionize several markets. Phil Ryan's here. What's up, Phil? He's with the LP Allies. Check them out. 1,000 points to me for not voting for the orange totalitarian and instead voting for libertarianism. It was my pleasure. Points to Lars for giving me a heads up on the upcoming buyer's market. Points to Lars, there's always a new boogeyman. Minus to William for impersonating Larry Sharp with the follow-ups. There we go. Points to Lars, being under the desk will save you. Points to Joel, hard no. Points to Joel for the no. Points to Lars for complimenting Free's questions. That's always appreciated. Points to William for the self-sufficiency away from the government. 2 points to Lars for the unwarranted compliment to Free. Points to Lars for saying great question. Don't do that too much for those of us that have to deal with me. Yeah, that's 100% correct. All right, Noam says my questions are dumb. I knew that was coming. Points to Lars for finding humor in the ridiculousness of the central banking system. I use YouTube because I can cast it to my TV so I can chat from my phone. I do the same thing when I watch shows. That makes it much easier. Points to William for remembering Brent's birthday. Points to Joel for the Xano shirt. Way to rep tonight's sponsor. Yeah, much appreciated. Points to Lars for submitting to local government. That's funny. Points to Lars. It's not a feature. It's a bug. Or it's a feature, not a bug. Points for the Federal Reserve prints too much money. Points to Joel because his name is enunciated like Superman's dad.
Never heard that one before.
Yeah, exactly. Was that Jor-El? Jor-El, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jor-El and Kal-El, right? All right. Magnetic Norse is here. What's up? Great Spaces host and a great memer. Cash is king. Jake's here from Tough Love Records. Check out Tough Love Records. They're awesome. 100 points to William. Government should have zero role in currency except executing debasers and counterfeiters as per our founder's law. Points to William because I am at a red light and I haven't had to swim home through Houston yet. Been raining since 3 a.m. That sounds awful. Points for VPN. Jonathan Miller, who's running for NC Senate's here. What's up, buddy? I'm just getting here. I was a guest on a podcast tonight. 200 points to everyone with my apologies for my tardiness. And okay, 200 cat points for Joel. Minus 100 points to Nomi for saying the questions are dumb. There are no stupid questions, only stupid people, and the government's dumb. Don't forget that the government's dumb. All right. Oh, now we have props.
Oh my gosh, I got 3 cats and 3 dogs. Just a minute.
And they renew the points.
This
and
is
they re-up.
going to turn into the Wild Kingdom all of a sudden. All right. Let's
Like
jump to the
Rainforest Cafe
scoreboard.
in here.
Yeah, exactly. Lars in the lead, 1773. Joel in second, 1658. And William, as predicted, third place, 1112. All right, let's jump back into it here. Lars, to you, category is privacy in a cashless world. Terry's put stuff on the screen. All right, the question is, are digital payments turning your life into data?
Yeah, I mean, every transaction you do, credit card, at the checkout counter, it's all tabulated, put in a database. Everything you buy is shoved through an AI and knows exactly not only what you're buying now, but it can predict what you're going to buy next. And it starts showing you ads on social media to buy that thing. And you're like, how did they even know I need that thing? So yeah, it's, privacy in that respect is totally gone. And the problem is that, and I'm seeing this a lot on social media. I tell people, this is an example. People say, well, I hate billionaires and I hate AI and I hate data centers. And I said, well, you're literally posting on Facebook, you're giving money to a billionaire and you're using AI and a data center. And their response is, well, I'm forced to use this because there's no other alternative. There's no other way around it. And so, unless you want to like live in a yurt and grow your own food with goats, which I think is totally fine, if that's your thing, and I've certainly done that. But if you want to participate in the regular part of society, you basically are forced to take on the surveillance state, which is unfortunate.
Or they could try Noster too. I would throw that in there. Joel, to you. What's that?
What is Noster?
Noster's decentralized social media. It's a decentralized social media network.
Awesome.
Joel, to you. Is financial privacy already dead for most Americans?
Yeah, I would say it's been dead for a little while. Like ever since the card networks became the primary source of transacting and started having data sharing agreements with all the like Google and things like that, and especially now that I think that we have this concept of the CBDC, or the central bank digital currency, that one day they're going to do the mark of the beast on us, and we're going to get this thing that's going to track everything. But if you think about it, we're already using, I mean, most of us, a central bank issued currency that's digital and can be used to surveil everything, and that the government can shut you down at any moment. It just is extra steps. This whole CBDC concept is just kind of a smoother version of what we already have. So yeah, we've been kind of in that for a little while now.
Yeah, definitely. All right, William, to you. Should you have the right to spend money anonymously?
Oh, the statist, those people that are in North Korea would say, no, absolutely not. But yes, absolutely. We should be allowed to buy what we want, when we want, with what we want. And nobody should say we shouldn't. And we should be able to hide that transaction if we so choose. That is, I believe, a right. But rights require, force to be, protected. Nobody thinks that a bathroom should not have a door. We need privacy. Well, I think we all would agree with that statement. So society agrees on a door in a bathroom. Well, we should also agree that we should have an option to have a door on our financial transactions. It should be anonymous.
I agree. I didn't know where that was going when you started talking about financial transactions in the bathroom, but I just decided to ignore that part. All right, Lars, to you. Categories life without banks. Does opting out of banking systems mean more freedom or more risk?
I mean, as a libertarian, I think that you should be able to choose whatever you want to do. It's a lot like, do you think that there should be licensing, occupational licensing? Like, I don't think there should be occupational licensing. I think that people are big boys and girls, and they can manage their own life. They don't need government nanny state watching over every single thing that they do, including breathing and eating and whatever else. So yeah, we need to just basically get the government out of our lives. And if people want to live dangerously, they should be allowed to, right? It's the same thing with doing drugs. It's like if you want to do drugs, it's your personal right and your body. As long as you're not harming other people, you should be able to do whatever the hell you want. And the government has decided, and by government I mean 51% of the people that vote on each side have decided they're going to let you know how you can behave in society and live your life and be on your own personhood, which is totally ridiculous. No one should have any say over your personhood, period, as long as you're not harming other people.
Definitely true. Joel, to you. Is living without a bank account realistic today?
Yeah, I think so. Ask me how I know. Just kidding. I've been doing that for the last 10 years at this point, and it's gotten easier by the year. It was a little bit rough in the early days, but now it's something that I think I can walk most people through the process of today.
Interesting. What makes it easier today?
It's because the adoption of cryptocurrency has just gotten a lot better, and There's a lot of tools out there to spend it, and a lot more tools that spend it in anonymous ways. Privacy-focused cryptocurrencies were very kind of niche and shunned in the past, and now they're much bigger. And I think that there's just a bunch of different tools. Usually before, you'd have to rely on one or two, and if something happened to one of those, kind of in a tight spot. Now there's a lot of those, and there's more coming all the time. And I do think it's going to be relatively mainstream to use non-banking sort of rails the whole way through in the next couple of years for a lot of people. And hopefully I won't have to tell people they can ditch their bank in the future. They just will be like, "What's a bank, Grandpa?"
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
That'd be great. All right, William, to you. Is self-custody the future of personal finance?
Of course, it should be right now, and it should be always. Custody is 9/10 of the law, and if I happen to have crypto and I cross a border, I can do that with self-custody. If I'm crossing the border and they ask for something that I have to declare, that's gold or silver coins that are in my possession at that point in time, do I have custody once they ask for a tax or confiscate it? I don't think so. That's why I believe that digital assets is a great way to self, be you need to be the custodial of your property. Yes,
Definitely.
I guess the answer would be.
Yeah, great answer. Lars, to you. The category is financial freedom versus financial surveillance. Is surveillance creeping or already complete?
I would say it's already complete. You have to go way out of your way to try to not be surveilled. And oddly enough, that's a red flag. If you're trying to not be surveilled, then the government is suspicious of you immediately, and and wants to surveil you harder. They don't like anybody hiding anything, and I think we should be able to hide stuff. Like the government doesn't need to know my business all the time. I should be able to opt in or opt out of the government knowing my business. And it's kind of like opting in or opting out of insurance, right? You get benefits for having insurance, you get benefits, but I think people should be able to opt out absolutely if that's their desire, and they should be able to opt out at any moment, at any time, and not be sucked back in by the bureaucratic, surveillance state. It's gross, and I'm hopeful that the future is going to be more decentralized, more open sourced, and less controlled by the bureaucrats in Washington.
Did you like my little subtle joke where I said, "Is surveillance creeping?" Get it? All right. Joel, to you. Is financial surveillance already normalized?
Yeah, I mean, it's normalized to a great extent. And I think one of the reasons why one of the anecdotes of this is Venmo having sort of default publishing of everything you buy. Now, it's kind of, I get that there's a social aspect to things. You have to make things fun for the user. But at the same time, I think people should be sort of shocked that every single purchase is just shown to all their friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, obviously a lot more people than their friends, but the fact that we're numb to that, I think, is a great sign that it's sort of very normalized. Another thing, of course, is just the concept of what is known in the crypto world, at least, as KYC, or know your customer, which is identification laws for using financial products. And there's so many of these. The fact that in order to just send your buddy some cash for buying you dog food or whatever it is, pet sitting, the fact that you have to present your government issued ID in order to have permission to do that is just wild to me, but everyone does it. And it didn't used to be wild. From my understanding, decades ago, you did not need to prove your identity to do things even in a banking environment. And then they implemented all this, and we become numb to it. And I think we need to really start reversing this tide.
Definitely. All right. William, to you. Is safety being used to justify constant monitoring?
First of all, I'd like to say that my plan is working. I'm still holding third place. And these stickers behind me are still for sale for 100 points.
It's bumping
Can
down
you
for
repeat the question, Mr. Government Free?
Oh, would you try to pay attention? That would be helpful.
Yep. Again, we need to add a new shadow candidate just to get him to fourth.
This is like when my kids
Harry
were,
jumping in third.
yeah, this is like when my kids were little and they were playing with their stickers and they weren't listening to what I was doing. So, all right, let's try again. Is safety being used to justify constant monitoring?
Yeah, the status is always going to say we need to monitor you for your own safety. We need KYC to protect grandma from losing her money. It's wild, wild west out there, and for your safety, we give up more and more rights. We allow more and more Palantir into our lives. We allow government and surveillance to grow, and it's all in the name of for your safety. Well, you know what? The statists are never working for us. They're working against us. Stand up, people. Wake up.
Totally agree. All right, Lars, to you. Category is decentralization versus central control. Is control always the end goal of centralization?
I think yes. There may be.
Hold on, your mic's whacking out again. I don't know what happened.
Man.
Listen, there goes your lead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hold on. Is this one better?
No, it's like breaking up a little bit.
Man. What about this one? Is this one better?
There we
That's
go.
better.
Too many microphones, too many things. So yeah, I think what? Nope, still bad.
Cash Patel, he's
No,
watching.
You're fine. We got
Okay,
you.
cool. Yeah. I think that's true. There may be a case where some centralization doesn't lead to more control, but I think centralization in general leads to control. I like decentralized better.
I agree. All right, Joel, to you. Does decentralization create chaos or resilience?
Definitely both. I mean, I think that's the way to go. The decentralization. Well, let me change my answer. At different levels, at lower levels, it's both. At high levels, it's only resilience, because decentralization, of course, creates resilience because you don't have one thing that you're relying on, one guy who gets hit by a bus, and then you're all toast. But of course, coordinating things and doing things when you don't have a central party does get a little chaotic sometimes. But as you grow and things get very well distributed on a global scale and over a long period of time, and everything's well established, and all the rules are known, and everything just works, then you have something that's rock solid, that's just not going anywhere. Whereas you can have a giant company, centralized entity, whatever, that is huge and powerful, but can also just crumble or can have something happen immediately and cause a real issue. And so I think we're finding that for people who really want something with stability at the highest levels, they definitely want something that's fully decentralized to the best of our abilities. One of the reasons why, historically, gold has been very valuable as a currency. Cryptocurrencies are starting to do that. You have, Iran asking for crypto payments for shipping voyages, for example. But then at the very small level, you kind of want someone accountable and responsible, typically. And just saying, oh, it's decentralized, man, is not typically an answer that people want to buy. But decentralization is the way. It just does require work.
Definitely. All right, William, to you. Can decentralized systems scale to national needs?
Yes, I believe they can. I believe they've already been tested. But more importantly, why do we want decentralized, systems? And because the centralized systems can be corrupted and can be are used to, again, work against us, to control us, to manipulate the information, manipulate the data. And I also would like to give a shout out to Flock camera systems for monitoring my trips back and forth to the grocery store, and my Flock camera here on my laptop.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Lars, back to you. The category is blockchain technology. Should governments embrace blockchain or fear it?
I think governments should get the hell out of the way of blockchain and let it do its thing. It doesn't need any regulation. Again, you're all big boys and girls, and you can decide how you want to invest and how you want to transact. And the government is, once they start laying down regulations, they're like, oh, we got to regulate this, and it's like, no, you don't. You don't have to do crap. You just let the thing do its thing, and the market will find the best solution. And as soon as they start regulating stuff, they break everything, turns it all to crap, and then it's a surveillance state. So it's no, we should just end all the regulation, decentralize the hell out of it.
All right, Joel, to you. Is blockchain freedom or just a new form of control?
It is definitely not a new form of control. I would say it's definitely freedom, and a blockchain, the way it works, is just not super efficient if you only have centralized people, like one party kind of running things. It's pointless. It doesn't make sense. The only thing that makes sense is if you want a wide distributed group of people to go run something in a way where the rule set makes it so you don't have to trust people you include. So I don't think it's going to be used as a tool for more control. I mean, I think they will try, but I think it'll inherently give less. The one thing we just have to worry about, of course, is the privacy angle. We have to make sure we're using it privately, because while it is a great tool for autonomy, by default, it has to put all the data out there on a fully public ledger anyone in the world can read. If you don't do that right, then that thing could really mess you up. You need to make sure that everything is on there and recognizable by the network, but doesn't leak private information about what is out there.
Yeah, definitely. All right, William, to you. Would blockchain make elections more trustworthy?
Oh, hell yes, absolutely. The reason I don't currently vote is because I can't see my vote. I can't verify that my vote was counted. I can't verify that my vote was applied correctly. I cannot see all of the votes. I don't know if everyone voted was, legally registered to vote. I didn't know if the vote was from a dead person or not. And blockchain can solve this. It's actually, the technology is there. It's been built. It's been tested. The powers to be don't want to lose control. They don't want to lose their positions of power. They don't want an honest, trustworthy voting system. Blockchain has been around a while. It has been tested, and it will work. We the people need to start from a grassroots and move our way forward to say, no, we demand accountability in our election system. We demand to see our vote and to make sure it was counted correctly and applied correctly. Blockchain can do all of that. It eliminates the middleman, and it's powerful. And unfortunately, too many people have just been chasing the number go up. I got my Bitcoin, and how much is Bitcoin worth today? And they've lost sight of the real power of blockchain and what it can do. It's borderless, it's immutable, it's transparent if we want it to be, and it's decentralized. It can be spread out around the world, and there's just no way you're going to corrupt it. You would have to, what they call a 51% attack. You'd have to control 51% of the machines. Well, that's why blockchain voting could make a difference if we mandated it from the bottom up. They don't want it because they don't want to lose their power. They don't want to lose their position. They don't want to know what we really are voting for.
Seems better than Venezuelan voting machines to me. I agree. All right. Enter your scores in the chat if you've not done so already. And let's check out the chat again. 200 to Joel for the cat. Oh, here we go. 200 kitty points to Joel. 3 points to Lars to get him to 1776. Minus 4.5 points for cat ownership. Oh, we have a little cat hate. Points to William. It's nobody's business what we spend and with whom. Amity, I'd like to know why you want to do that, but never mind. 200 to William for shut the damn bathroom door. Yeah, and turn the fan on too while you're at it.
Okay.
Points to Lars, I don't need permission. Points to Lars, no nanny state. Points to Lars, occupation and licensing is bullshit. Points to Lars, F the nanny state. Points to Lars, no nanny state. Points to William. Points to whoever brought a golden AK. No, we're not supposed to do that. That's in the pre-show meeting. We talk about that now. Minus to Lars, we aren't hiding. If the government wants to know, get a warrant. Actually, truth be told, if you watch the intro, there might be a golden AK because F YouTube. 200 pity points for William for third place. Minus 13 to Lars for not muting while typing. Lars is getting a little hate for the audio issues here, I think, coming up here. 200 to William, never trade rights for safety. Minus to Lars for the mic issues, 2 shows in a row. Yeah, I knew they'd notice. Points to Joel for Cash is watching. Cash is definitely not watching. There's a bar open wherever he is. He's definitely not watching. I had mic trouble tonight too. 50 to Lars for working it out. 42 to whoever said Cash is watching. That was Joel. Minus 100 to Joel for not getting the memo to bring his best digital background, but 100 for the smooth radio DJ voice. He is nice to listen to. Points to Joel for finally arriving at an answer. Points to William for the sarcastic flock shout out. Points to Lars, it's everything they touch. Points to Joel for Patel Cash. 200 to William again, although a softball question, he hit it out of the park. Mike Vitko's here from the Vitko Verdict. What's up? Sorry I'm late. 100 to all. Minus 200 for Joel's cat just to balance it out. Jacob Winograd's here, another subscriber from Biblical Anarchy Podcast. Check that out. 200 points to Lars because that's an epic shirt. And 200 to William because I made it home okay. I don't know if he's giving you directions or why that's important, but
Texas rain. We know it well.
there you go. All right. And Lars still in the lead, even though we couldn't hear him for a while. 3,300 points. Joel, 8 points behind. And Williams catching up as well, 28.
I'm still holding. I've got a strong third place finish going on right now. I'm impressed by myself.
You are the real libertarian if we're going by the scoreboard here. So,
Yeah.
all right. All right.
Get used to it, Lars.
All right. Back to Lars. This category is sponsored by our Friday night sponsor, our friends at Xano. The category is crypto in everyday life. Lars, would you trust crypto over traditional money?
Yeah, I think I like crypto. I've been doing crypto since probably 2017 ish is when I really kind of got into it quite well. I think that I like having a diversified portfolio of stuff, but I think I would definitely choose crypto over the fiat crap that we have. Especially long term. It's pretty clear that the fiat crap we have is continuously being degraded and inflated away into oblivion. And so by just holding some Bitcoin, some Ethereum, some privacy coins, you're going to be doing better off over the long run. I think it's pretty much guaranteed at this point. I don't see it really changing much. So yeah, I would prefer crypto over fiat crap.
Totally agree. Excuse me. Joel, to you. Is crypto ready for everyday transactions?
I would say a qualified yes. I would say it can be. I would say some are for sure. I would say a lot aren't. At a network protocol level, there's just a few that work really well for that. They're reliable, instant settlement, privacy, all the other stuff. There's enough tools out there, but it's more that the path is very kind of narrow. There's like a thing here, a thing here. There's like a few things you do in conjunction that can make it work. It's not that when you just use crypto generally, it works for everyday transactions. I would say that's mostly no, but you can make it work today, and it is getting better all the time. So there shouldn't be any excuse for you not to do it today, not to try it out today at least, but it's going to get better over time.
How far are we away from being able to use crypto at the cash register regularly?
I mean, we're kind of there right now. There's a few, like Square, Jack Dorsey's company, Square point of sales are everywhere. You can enable at least Bitcoin transactions on those. And that's the regular register. There's other things like the Clover point of sale system has a bunch of crypto plugins. I've seen people do stuff through that. There's a Wallet Connect Pay, which is a specific crypto app, is getting into Ingenico point of sale systems, which you see at a lot of major grocery stores, for example. And then also, if you get outside the US, there's a company called Eon Pay, which enables 50 million merchants around the world, especially in Southeast Asia, where you can go up to, like, let's say I've seen a Kentucky Fried Chicken in the Philippines, for example. Someone scan a QR code from their phone on the actual official register and just pay from there. So we're there today. It's not every register though. That's maybe what you're trying to ask, but yes, you can pay at the real normal register today, just not all of them yet, but it's going to happen very fast. I predict over the next 3 to 5 years, it should be pretty universal.
Nice. All right, William, to you. Is crypto volatility the biggest barrier to adoption?
No, I would disagree. I would say the biggest barrier to adoption has been probably government regulations, and government pushing the idea that terrorists use Bitcoin, or all the money launderers and criminals use Bitcoin, or whatever, crypto, Litecoin or Dash or whichever. So I think the biggest barrier for adoption, especially in the United States, is because we've gone, a lot of countries have adopted at a faster pace and a faster rate simply because we've regulated the hell out of it. That's one. Certainly there are the scammers, and who's the first to point them out? Government and government publications, or manipulating the social media or the major networks. Well, there's been another big hack and there's been another big rug pull. And so I think that fear mongering and the regulations have really stymied the adoption. Lastly, I'll quickly say that the whole idea of the number go up has really hurt blockchain technology, in my opinion, because there are other utilities that it can be used for, such as voting, and done in the technology, like I said, is there. And we need to adopt new technology, including different forms of AI, like some of us are, and use that to our advantage.
Definitely. All right, Lars, back to you. Should businesses be free to operate entirely in crypto?
Of course. Why? I mean, you should be able to do what, like I said before, you should be able to transact however the hell you want. And I think, it might be detrimental to your business to only accept crypto, but, accepting lots of payments usually is better. But I think you should absolutely be able to accept only crypto, and only the kind of crypto that you want. It's your trading stuff. So if you're trading the things that you have, you should be able to accept whatever the hell you want for the transaction. The government shouldn't have any say in that whatsoever.
Definitely. Joel, to you. Is crypto solving real problems or creating new ones?
I think the crypto is almost entirely solving new problems. It is creating some new, I would say, challenges more than problems. One of the challenges is if it's all in code and you can't just snap your fingers and roll back something that happens, a hack is semi-permanent. So like when North Korea steals a bunch of money, you see them moving it, you can't stop them if it's a decentralized network. That's a new problem to deal with. But for the most part, it's creating a lot of new solutions. And so, for example, I think that decentralized currency is really hard without this tech. Like, it's hard to have, okay, well, there's a bunch of different banks and they all issue different versions of money and they all sort of coordinate, but then there's no central bank that kind of comes in. It happened before and kind of went away, right? I think that's hard to do. It's hard to have your own form of decentralized identity where you have the power of a passport, but you don't rely on anyone else to issue it. You have a central repository for all your documents, everything you've ever done, but it's not controlled by someone who can just deny it from you. So I think that there's a lot of things that blockchain really solves that we haven't even thought about really in the future. We haven't really thought about we need them, but we'll see in retrospect we definitely did. And I think those far outweigh the challenges of permissionlessness.
Definitely. All right, William, to you. Will the average person ever fully adopt crypto?
I'm certainly hopeful that that is the case. It will probably happen. I hope in the background, you don't even know that it's blockchain technology. That's probably going to be one of the other killer apps, and it's easy to be used. But it doesn't have to be currency related. It could be in other formats or have other utilities. Just a real plain example. We talk about when a nation conquers another, it rewrites the history. Maybe in ancient times it was a papyrus scrolls and they burned them and then they rewrote the history. Well, if history is written through a blockchain and it's decentralized, borderless, immutable, then that means that the history cannot be rewritten by the victor. It will stay permanent. And that would be a great place where blockchain could be plugged in to store information so that we know we can go back and trace it, especially in this day and age of AI. We want to know, where did they really get this information? How did it come up with this answer? What was its training data? Where did it come from? And that's just one example of a use case. But historical record keeping on a blockchain would be a powerful tool. There you go. How's that?
Yeah. Really good. All right, Lars, back to you. The category is the DeFi frontier. Can decentralized finance replace banks?
Yeah, it can replace banks as long as the government gets out of the way with all their damn regulations. I think, it's this thing of we're all big boys and girls, and we don't need the nanny state to, watch over every little thing. And if you want to invest in, whatever you want to invest in, you should be able to do that. And if you should be able to figure out what your own risk tolerance is. The government shouldn't be in there being like, oh, you can't do that. That's too risky. You're not allowed to take that risk. It's like, what I do in my life, I take lots of risk, and it's all the risk reward ratio is part of a free market. And when you basically regulate that, and when you try to suppress that free market, you're mangling the market, and you're causing even more risk, because you're basically taking away the ability for the market to actually work, which basically creates systemic problems. Usually comes out in things like the 2008 banking crisis or 1929 market crash. That's the result of overregulation and the market basically resetting and rejecting that regulation. So screw the government.
Amen to that. All right, Joel, to you. Is DeFi too risky for the average person?
The long-term answer is no. The today answer is probably. And I have to say, there's a lot of shortcuts that have sort of been taken in this. When we have these systems, they're supposed to provide robust, decentralized financial structures that anyone can use. And I kind of feel like a lot of shortcuts were taken in order to just get something out there as soon as possible, so you could get people to throw money into there and you could make money off of them. Kind of very just like, let's extract from people as soon as possible. And a lot of people did that, and there's been a lot of really bad security exploits that's happened in the last few weeks especially. And the worst part about that is when you see how these things were constructed. What did they exploit? Oh, someone just had the master keys to the whole system in his password manager unencrypted. It's like, oh no. Or someone had a one node that is just watching this entire network, and then North Korea hacks that one node, and then hundreds of millions of dollars are lost. And it's like, well, why didn't you set up to be 3 or 4 nodes have to agree? And they're just like, didn't do it. That stuff is an absolute embarrassment. And so I would be very careful. I'd make sure you to use crypto. I would encourage everyone to get anything serious involved with DeFi. I'd be very cautionary about, know what you're doing and your risks today. not one day.
What's the safest?
The safest thing to do in DeFi, is that the question?
Yeah, but like if somebody was starting out and wanted to be safe, where would you push them?
So I would say there's two directions. One is for you, DeFi can mean so many things. If you just want to earn some basic interest on your money, some yield, I would go through one of the older coins that has a staking element. So something like Dash. If you run a Dash masternode, or something like Ethereum, you stake an Ethereum validator, or Xano seems pretty safe as well. I'm not as educated on how that works, but basically you just put your money into the system. You pledge your money. You don't lose control over it. You just pledge it to the system, and you get some interest for bonding it to the system. That stuff is just about as safe as you can get. And if you just do it very straight, it's when you get to these complex smart contract kind of things. If you want to get a little bit more complicated, the Thorchain ecosystem is full of a bunch of things you can do for swapping different assets, earning yield on this. And they did experience a whole lot of hacks in the early days, but what they did is they had their testnet, their testing phase on public with real money, so they would have a very limited capacity. So they'd have a financial incentive to actually have people hack it so they could fix it. And since like 2022 or something, they haven't had any exploits. They've been doing great work. So that's kind of what I would say is a short answer. There's a very long answer to that too, though.
Yeah, no, it's a good answer and very helpful. All right, William, can DeFi survive government pressure?
Yeah, absolutely. I think free men don't ask for permission, right? I agree with Joel, everything he said there, that DeFi, as we see it right now, may not be quite ready for prime time. And I think staking, pledging your coins, tokens in a POS style system is smart. But it really also goes back to regulation. We can't look to the government, the nanny state, to protect us in everything that we want to do or invest in. And regulation is just like tying a tether to a rocket. And does it really make the rocket go safe? The rocket's not going to go very far because it's still tethered to the ground. Well, that's what regulation and all of these steps that people have to comply with bring about. And maybe there's some issues with DeFi. We want that safe investment, and we think that Wall Street is going to be our best bet. Oh, is it really? Maybe alternative investing vehicles might be a better, way to go. So I think that DeFi in some cases, or some platforms that are new, might be considered Wild West, and you need to do your own due diligence. There's no financial advice that's given by any of the panelists here, obviously. So you have to investigate it. That means also, too, that with risk comes opportunity.
That's true. All right. Lars, back to you. The category is central bank digital currencies, commonly known as CBDCs. And as I learned earlier this year, don't confuse them with CBDs. Lars, to you, would you trust a government-issued digital dollar?
Fuck no. not even a little bit. No, look, this is the as Joel said, we're already like mostly there in theory, and they just haven't connected the last little bits of dots. But believe me, if they want to shut you down and not allow you to transact and debank you, look, they debanked all of Russia for the entire world. So if they want to debank you, they can easily debank you. And I have personally been debanked by a few big banks in America. They didn't like some of the transactions that I was doing. So I personally have been screwed by the banking cartel and the federal government and their stupid rules about what you can and can't do with your money. So again, screw them. And we we need to make sure that we don't have central bank digital currency, that we have decentralized options, that we have privacy options. We really don't want that in our lives. We don't want the, ability for them to decide that, eating meat is wrong and hurting the planet and causing climate change, so no one's allowed to buy meat anymore, or whatever it is that that they want to control us by. We need to not have that in our lives.
100%. All right, Joel, to you. Do CBDCs give governments too much power over daily life?
So yes. First, I should say mostly CBDCs are theoretical rather than practical. There aren't that many that have been successfully implemented around the world. And yes, they do give absolute power at the federal level, basically the central bank level, to not only get all that information directly, not without intermediaries like they do today, but also be able to, at the account level, the person account, censor people. So it's way too much power. They already have way too much power. It would give them more, I think. So I think I'm also a little skeptical if CBDCs will really take off. I kind of feel like the government is very controlling, but they are also very incompetent in bootstrapping a global financial system in a semi-free market world. It's just going to be so hard for the most incompetent actor in the market. So I kind of think that CBDCs are more conceptual for most of the West, at least, where they're going to surveil and control whatever other digital monies like stable coins, for example, that are out there, rather than successfully launch their own thing. It's like the post office. I mean, they controlled all the post, and then they couldn't hold on to that because they were terrible at it.
That's the funniest and most optimistic answer I've heard in a while. So
that's true. I mean, just look at it. Look at it.
That was awesome. It would be the pothole of the financial system. They wouldn't be able to figure it out. All right. William, to you. Are central bank digital currencies a surveillance tool?
Oh, that's such a softball question. I'll take it. I'm in third place. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm going to take Aaron Day's position on this a little bit. In some respects, you can already say that the CBDC is already here. Our transactions are monitored by, the credit card companies and the IRS, the government, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it the cartel mafia regime that some people call the government, have direct access to that. And there are already, look what took place in Canada, and, turning off people's bank accounts almost instantaneously based off of a political donation. So the CBDC is essentially already here. And what people really don't realize is that the stable coins are almost acting like, CBDCs as well, because they have transparent ledgers and they can see how that money is being spent. But more importantly, it's also a printing machine. And it's a printing machine for the debt, because with the most recent, Clarity Act, what did they want? They wanted the debt, the Treasury debt, to be backing. In other words, a stable coin needs to have that as reserve, the government's debt, to hold it and peg the stable coin to the dollar. Oh my gosh, can't we do better than that? And have a stable coin pegged to a dollar? Do you know how much the dollar has lost? You go back to 1971 when we came off of the gold standard. Just before that, minimum wage was $1.60 an hour. Gold was trading at around $35 per ounce. So how much gold or how many ounces could you buy with 1 hour's work at $1.60? Today, gold is trading almost at $5,000. Minimum wage, nationally speaking, is $7.25 an hour. That puts minimum wage today to equal 1971, pegging our stable coin to a dollar. Pegging to 1971 means that we're north of $180 per hour for minimum wage. Minimum wage at $180 an hour. How many of us make $180 an hour? How many people in our households make $180 an hour combined? Not very many households meet that. So that tells you that, how much we've bastardized and devaluated the fiat dollar. over time, over and over and over. And now they want to sell us on stable coins pegged to that same fucking dollar that's worth what? Should be worth what? A minimum wage of $180? I think not. I'm going to tell you, go read Aaron Day's book, Final Countdown, about the fear of CBDCs coming into our lives. Fuck that. Fuck the government.
Yeah. The great Aaron Day. Yeah, absolutely. To go back to Joel's answer, I think the only thing that would be worse is to peg it to the post office, right? So maybe it's the same. I don't know.
The DMV.
Yeah, the DMV, exactly. All right, Lars, to you, the category is AI and financial power. Is AI a neutral tool or inherently biased?
Yeah, it's a neutral tool. It's just like anything else. Is the internet a neutral tool? I mean, it's obviously it can be used for bad things, but it can also be used for good things. And it's kind of like I talk a lot about people are like, oh well, the government politicians are all the corporations are corrupting our politicians, and I say essentially that politicians are the ones that are corrupted. If we had based politicians that weren't grifting and grafting and being corrupt, then the corporations wouldn't control them. So it's really kind of a chicken and the egg kind of a thing.
Why are you so optimistic about AI?
So I think a lot of the good things that have come in life have come through that have been better standard of living for people have come through the rise of technology, right? As the tractor got rid of a lot of the tilling of the field and that sort of thing, and penicillin, all the great things that we have that have made life easier, better, living longer, living easier, has all come through technology advancements. And AI is, in my opinion, is going to be as great as the discovery of fire, because it is going to bring in nuclear fusion. It is going to bring in the ability to vastly reduce the cost of pretty much everything. It's going to create great lengths in our longevity. We're looking right now at just maybe within the next 5 years being able to add another 50 years to our lives due to all the things or the breakthroughs that are coming in healthcare. And right in the moment where everybody is screaming about we have to stop AI, is actually we should be leaning into it, because as I said, if we leaned into healthcare right now, you hear everybody talking about we need healthcare for all, we got to fix the healthcare system. Well, right now, if we leaned into using AI to fix healthcare, to cure diseases and get rid of stuff, we could drop the national spending. Right now, we spend $5 trillion a year on healthcare in America. And I believe that with AI in the next less than 10 years, we're only going to be spending $1 trillion on healthcare in America. So technology is actually going to solve the problems: housing, healthcare, education. But we got to get out of the way and not regulate this thing. And if we do regulate it, we're in a race against China. China will win, and it is a winner take all type of situation. So we can't allow government to stifle this great innovation.
Totally agree. All right, Joel, to you. Should AI be allowed to make financial decisions?
Should be allowed to make any decisions. That's the thing, is it's depending on whoever is controlling it. And if you're doing it right, you should not be able to tell if it's an AI made choice or not. It should just be you authorize it with whatever private keys for crypto, whatever bank accounts, if you're into that stuff for some reason. And yeah, I mean, it should definitely be allowed. I think that there's some risks, like get some funny ideas and goes on a shopping spree, and then start sending before you know it, you have 100 gold-plated AKs showing up at your door you didn't want. So there's always those risks, but I definitely don't think it's up to the government to decide if you should be able to take those risks or not.
I wanted all 100, so that was fine with me. All right. William, to you. Will AI concentrate power in fewer hands?
At its current path, that's highly probable. Doesn't have to be that way. Just like the predicament that we're in right now, financially and our debt, et cetera. It doesn't have to be that way. Shouldn't have been that way. So I still think that we have an opportunity to guide this monster, if you will, called AI. Some fear it, and there's even a P-doom percentage. A P-doom is what's the likelihood of humanity's extinction from a super AI or super AGI. That is possible. Some experts give it less than 5%. Some give it as high as 25, 30%. And I waver back and forth. The risks are there without question. However, it will be centralized if we allow it. We don't have to allow that. It's still early enough that we can control it. And I would say that in the Western world, certainly in the US, it's becoming more towards a race by large corporations, and these data centers, are big fight. But it's a race for control versus maybe China, which is more of a state, race for that super AI or super AGI. And the link between AI and automation is coming. It's already here, but it's growing. And we have the ability to not fall into a technocracy. However, it is possible. And I think that we could program an AI to give us a better government where we don't have corruption, because it'll be in the code and we can see the code. We can audit that code. We can look at it. And that sounds crazy for some people, to think that I'm going to hand over the governance to a machine. Well, you've handed over your governance and your liberty and your rights to individuals who've corrupted this in a corrupt system, and you want to trust that. Maybe it's time for a change and trying something different. You can always still pull the plug. And I still firmly believe that. Maybe that's where my hope is. But Lars has hit it nail. He hit it out of the park. Grand slam. The opportunities of what it can do for us and progressing our way to a post-labor economy is huge. And if you don't know what that is, I really encourage you to look that up or start getting familiar with that term, post-labor economy. That's where we no longer trade our time and our energy for wages. And it doesn't have to be UBI, just be all of us becoming, sucking off the government tit. It doesn't have to be that way. Assets could be tokenized, and we could have all kinds of dividends from numerous sources around the world that are making our payments. We don't have to buy in and fall into a UBI world, a universal basic income, that is just taxation from government. Matter of fact, lastly, I'll say, blockchain was supposed to do just that, eliminate the third party, eliminate the middleman. It'd be just a transaction between you and I. That's what blockchain's about. Why can't we plug in blockchain to AI to help AI keep it honest? And so that we don't have a middleman like a government that's just distributing taxation, which is theft. Well, it's my long answer, but we have a beautiful, wonderful opportunity before us with what the life and that AI can provide us. But it has an inherent, ugly risk. So we've got to roll up our sleeves and do something about that risk.
Totally agree. All right, last three questions of the night. First one is to you, Lars. The category is the rise of parallel economies. Is it realistic to build systems outside of government control?
Before I get to that, I want to follow up with what William was saying. Interestingly enough, Saudi Arabia has decided to turn over its government to AI. It's the first government in the world to decide that they're going to let government run AI run most things. I've also been thinking about this kind of what the future looks like when we're not working as much. And I think work is going to be optional in the future. And I feel like we're going to be moving from human doing to human being. And we're going to be moving back to tribes where we're going to be much more concerned about how people are behaving with each other, how our families are doing. We're going to be spending a lot more time with our kids and our parents. And it's going to be much better for society, with people being able to interact with each other instead of being forced to work nonstop just to put food on the table. And I think that this is going to be really fantastic. And I've been telling people a lot. The future that I see is a Star Trek future, not a Terminator future. And if you give me the question, I'll answer it.
Perfect.
I got it. Can I add back to that? This is a great conversation. Sure. It'll be really quick. The whole idea and the concept that that what we will be doing is trading our time for labor will go out the window, but we'll have that option still. We will want that human experience. We might want to go to a bartender to where we have a conversation with, a barber who's going to cut our hair and have that conversation with. We might pay $150 maybe, let's say, for the haircut. But the young kid's going to say, no, I'm okay. Just put the dome on my head with the metal shears and razor blades and cut my hair this way. And it's an AI. Or we go to a concert and we want to watch humans provide a beautiful concert music. And we want to listen and hear their imperfections rather than just a bunch of robots, playing, maybe our favorite tunes. So we will have these choices, and people will have that ability to be a musician still, or to be a barber, be a bartender, whatever. That human interaction will still exist, and we'll have that opportunity. But the price level will probably come down substantially because of the AI and automation.
Minus 100 to both of you for not mentioning a human game show host.
I've never seen one.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, Lars, back to you. The category is the rise of parallel economies. Is it realistic to build systems outside government control?
100%. I mean, you do that in your home. You build systems inside your home with your family and how you're going to behave with each other and interact with each other, and your friends. The government isn't fortunately for us, the government isn't right now, watching over our shoulders when we have a conversation without our devices that listen to us. So yeah, we can absolutely have systems outside of Look, there was plenty of systems before the first government ever showed its ugly head on this planet. And we all survived somehow without government, probably for tens of thousands of years. Government is, it's a relatively new piece of crap that has been foisted on us. And I think I would love to see AI completely disrupt and completely unleverage government and allow people to be more autonomous, more decentralized, and more free. And I think that is a possibility, but we have to work towards it. We can't just sit around and wait for government to tell us how we're going to be using this. We have to go out and find the ways that use it that bring maximum freedom to people. And I believe that's possible.
Definitely. All right, Joel, to you. Are alternative economies the future or a fringe movement?
I'm going to give maybe the less popular answer and say sort of both, but more fringe movement. I think that alternative economies are super important, and I think that that's something that we need to do to get to the future and get to a better future. Now, at scale, I mean, think about yourselves. Think about how many things you buy from mainstream licensed merchants of whatever kind versus how many do you get from your local farmers market or whatever that's just completely underground. You hopefully get a lot from the second, but not nearly as much, not like the mainstream thing. And so the important part about doing fringe economies is you get to have maximum freedom. It's a testing ground for things. It's always like a backup. It's your insurance policy in case things get a little wild out in the rest of the world. But at the end of the day, people will use the mainstream. And what we can hope for the most is that the fringe, by having an opt-out solution, that you influence the mainstream. Because the mainstream gets to be captured and awful in all kinds of ways. But if people don't have to use it, it gets bad enough, they have an alternative. Just by having an alternative forces that one to compete. Once you have that free market competition, the mainstream will be a little bit better. It's kind of like saying, will, freedom tag, privacy coins, whatever, will that make us not pay taxes in the future? And I'm like, well, at scale, I don't think so. But the fact that you have that ability to have full financial privacy and not have your money confiscated, if you want to take the risk, is always going to put that pressure on the government to make sure that you have maximum actual tax compliance, and they're going to have to reform the tax laws to where there's something better and lower the tax rates eventually. So yes, it's more fringe, but it's fringe is leverage for the mainstream, and also fringes for whoever wants to be fringe.
Interesting answer. Yep. All right, William, to you, last question of the night. Do parallel systems strengthen or weaken the country?
Oh, I'm gonna say that they strengthen. I guess they could weaken, but parallel systems are really driven by market forces, correct? I think parallel systems is exactly what people look for. It's really an option, a choice in what you want to buy, or and sometimes there have been countries that have developed parallel systems that became more robust and strong and trustworthy, more than what the government provided. And they can overtake a government because they become a better source or stable, value. Let's take a currency, for example. Romania went through that. It started with an underground movement. People wanted, Western world movies. Back in the day, they were VHS tapes, I believe, and they realized how well the other people around the world were living, and it didn't have to be that way. And it sparked an interest in more VHS tapes, of how people lived in America. Wow, swimming pools in their backyard, and they're ubiquitous all over the United States. This is crazy, and it spurred more growth and more ways of thinking of how things could be or should be, and it breeds more parallel systems. And I've always told people, vote with your wallet, support parallel systems to a point where someday you actually make the government irrelevant in your life. Homeschooling is a great example of a parallel system. Look at the scores from the homeschooled child versus the government school child. Government schools, there you go. That should be worth 100 points rather than public schools. By the way, public schools are broke. They're bankrupt, and they're raising property taxes to pay Peter to pay Paul on the interest on old bonds. So, how's that for trusting in the government? Parallel system they're all around us. Find them. Find out what aligns with you and your value system and what your first principles are, and go talk with them. Help them along. Invest in your time and your energy and your money, to support these parallel systems. They will eventually overtake, what is corrupt.
All right. Enter your scores in the chat if you've not done so already. Tell us what you thought of the show. Tell us who you thought won. Let's jump in the chat one last time here.
My stickers are still for sale, everybody. $100, 100 points each.
Joel added that Venezuelan voting isn't as good as Valenzuelan voting, 100%. Minus 50 to Lars, mentioned fiat, but not the value in gold or silver. 200 to Joel for the crypto education. 200 to William for the question. 200 to Joel for the answer. 100 to William for the Xano sticker. 200 to William, plain speak answer. 100 to Lars, barter 2. 200 to Lars, you should be able to accept whatever the hell you want in exchange for goods and services. 200 to William for positive thinking. Utilize blockchain in all aspects of life, enhancing currency use. 200 to Lars for trading raw milk for weed. Was there a trade with 100 to Lars, screw the government. 200 to Joel for the nuanced answer. Points to me for the great follow-up question. Thank you. Minus 500 to the great Joe Hanush for not being in the chat. I'll double that. Points to Joel for the barking dog. Points to William Freeman for permission. Points to Joel and William for the great DeFi advice. Points to William, even though I fell asleep during his last answer. Points to Lars, F no. Points to Lars for F no. Points to Lars for bouncing back from being debanked. I was going to give Lars 200 points, but he can't deposit them. Points to Lars. Points to William for grow your own vegetables. Points to William for the F-bomb 3 times in one answer. That's not a record, by the way. Points to William for, yeah, CBDCs is camo and in use. Yeah, precious metals in hand. Points to William. This MFer is spitting. Minus to William for not having enough F-bombs. This isn't FCC regulated media here. It might be. We get kicked off of stuff. William is an honorary gnome, 100 points. That's an insult and points at the same time.
I'll take it.
Points to William for AI post labor economy. Points to William blockchain the world. Points to William for calling out the infancy of AI and the danger or positive of its direction. Points to Lars for post AI family time. Points to William, positive outlook of parallel systems. Points to William for bringing up VHS tapes. The only thing that's older is stone tablets. Let me tell you about reel to reel sometime, Casey. My old man used to make me suffer through those. Points to William for multi-systems work and available now. Points to William for homeschools being the best parallel system. I have 200 points left to spend on stickers. And points to William, grow your own. Let's check out the scoreboard one last time and see who won. Oh, it got spicy at the end here. And Lars held on 46-23, just about 100 points ahead of William, who jumped into second. And Joel's right there too, 44.
Vote is rigged.
Needs to be a blockchain. It should be on blockchain. I would trust it.
Stop the count.
We did a 3.5 hour rig show for You Are the Power. You missed out. It almost screwed it up too, by the way. But,
I should flip the fire alarm real quick before you finish reading the scores.
there you go. All right, Joel, you came in third. Great answers the whole night. You're such a wealth of knowledge. What did you think, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, I apparently got tired of winning, but other than that, it was a good time.
Awesome. Plug what you're up to.
Yeah, so I'm running all over the place, going to a million conferences. Got Miami, got Ljubljana, Slovenia, got Stockholm, Sweden, got all kinds of places. And just follow me on X, especially on X. I mean, you can follow me on YouTube too at Digital Cash Network, but the desert links on X, and you will see me, my constant post about mostly crypto stuff, but other things as well. If you want any help using decentralized tech, especially crypto, especially to move in the direction of not having bank accounts and centralized things controlling your life, I'm more than happy to help. Just ask me, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? I'll be more than happy to help and, show you the way, bring people over to the other side so get on the Ark of the Covenant because the world's sinking.
That's the thing I want to start working towards is I want to be the guy that goes into places and says, I want to spend this, and they say no. And then I go back in again and I say, I want to spend this, and they say no. So I will hit you up for help on that.
Banned from private establishments. Is that what your goal is?
Well, I already do that, but that's a whole different story.
That's for the public nudity.
Yeah, exactly. It's pants. All right. So you can follow Joel on X. He is at the Desert Links. He is the host of Digital Cash Network on YouTube. Website is decntr.net. And also check him out on X at Digital CashNet. Appreciate you doing this, man. Thanks. This was so much fun, man. And William, the only thing he got wrong tonight was what place he would finish in. What'd you think, buddy?
I'm so disappointed I got second. I was really hoping for third, but you can't lose them all, I guess. You know what? Honestly, I want a big shout out and thank you to all those in the chat. I miss you guys because I'm normally in the chat, and I'm very grateful to have been on the show tonight. I knew that my matchup with Lars and Joel is going to be tough. It would be a really tough thing to score above them, and I'm very fortunate and very lucky to have those in the chat to buy my stickers and support me in my endeavors here on the show. But this is an incredible podcast, incredible game show. I love it. I love the concept. And it's nice to be on this side for once. I think it's more my style to be rather be in the chat. But I love technology. I love blockchain. I like to talk about AI and these kinds of what we're facing, what we're battling. So I'm grateful that you all invited me on today. Thank you so much. Had a lot of fun, and congrats to Lars. He deserved every point he received.
Our pleasure, man. And you can follow William on X. He is at IM4IMWE. And check out his show, World Blockchain Roundtable. That's on Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Appreciate you, brother, and had so much fun meeting you in Texas. Yes. Really good time. And Lars, all you do is win, man. What'd you think tonight?
I love this show. This of the ones that I've done, I think this was my favorite one. And I have to say, both of the other contestants had answers that made me think, that actually made me kind of change my view on a couple of things. And I really enjoy when people can challenge my my worldview and my position. And I'm grateful to be able to change that if people can show me some information that I don't have, and I really cherish when people are able to give me information that I don't have. So thank you guys. What a great show. What a great set of answers. And look, we talked about today, we're facing a incredible change in this year. This is not like in the far future, and most people are missing the boat on the timeline of this. The change is coming, and it's coming very, very fast, and we have an opportunity to steer this in the direction of Star Trek and away from Terminator, in the direction of freedom and decentralization, away from authoritarianism and centralization. And it's going to take all of you working together out there to make this happen, because if we don't fight it and we just let the government control this, it will end badly. And it is up to us to be the voices to help quench some of the fear that is being foisted upon us out there right now. And look, I get it. There's reason to be fearful, but I believe that the future is abundance. The future is fantastically better than we have right now. And I want that world for everybody. And so that's what I'm working for. I hope you'll join me. And I hope that you'll join me on ballotswithoutbarriers.com, where we are fighting so that every person has access to be able to run for government office so that they can make change. Of course, we would love it if you didn't have to even run for government office at all. But we want to create a free market and competition, because competition breeds excellence. Right now, we don't have competition in our elections, and we are not going to change anything until we have different voices and more choices in American politics. And if we continue to stifle people, as we are doing with gerrymandering right now all over the country, where we're literally robbing people of their voices, when people don't feel heard, they get pissed off. And when they get pissed off, they turn to violence. And political violence is the outcome to a non-competitive political market. So I hope you'll join me at Ballots Without Barriers to help save America from violence.
Absolutely. And check out ballotswithoutbarriers.com. Also check out the Voting Rights Foundation, votingrights.com. And if you're in California, vote for Lars. And you can follow him on X at Libertarian Lars. Appreciate you, brother. This was a lot of fun. And let's add Terry here. Terry, what'd you think tonight?
I love this. In case anybody didn't know, this is not my wheelhouse. So every time these guys come on, I learned so much about everything, blockchain, Bitcoin. These are not things. And I actually did make a comment. I wish you guys would get this. People would get together and write some classes for homeschool students to prepare them for the future. Because I do believe that you're correct, and this is the way it's going to go. And thank you for letting me learn a lot tonight. I loved it, and I enjoyed the laughs a lot. So, it's hard for me to admit that I don't have a wheelhouse here, but that's okay. I'll survive it. You guys were great, chat.
Awesome. And you can follow me and Terry on X. I am at Smarter Game Show. She's Bats T76. We also have all of our swag up at freedomsuperstore.com. And the shorts will be available on YouTube at Freedom Uncut. And Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, we've got the man known as Scientific Libertarian, Carl Krambeck, David Fight from the Fight Club podcast, and Jake Day from the If by Whiskey podcast. That'll be a good one. Thanks again to Xano. Your privacy matters. Choose Xano, the leading blockchain platform that prioritizes confidentiality and security. And if you're new to the space, check out intro.xano.org. And thank you again to all of our subscribers, which I forgot to mention that Lars and William are two of them, and we appreciate that. You can subscribe to us on X and check us out check out the subscriber showdown next month. And if you want to sponsor, go to studio@freedomuncut.com. We'll be at the Libertarian National Convention later this month. If you want to register, go to lnc2026.com, and we'll be at Freedom Fest July 8th through 11th. Discount code is Spike100 at freedomfest.com. Thank you so much to the chat. You guys make this show so much fun, so much great stuff. And we will see you Tuesday night, 8 p.m.